Hi there, welcome to the Lentswe podcast at Transnet. Today we are broadcasting live from the TE plant in Godosport in Pretoria. Special day today. We have different stakeholders, we have customers, we have potential customers, and we have some of our CEs taking part in the Transnet Industry Day. This is happening just a day before we head to the Africa Rail Conference in Sandton, where we're also a partner. Today we are with Mr. Reginald Mokoena. How are you, sir?
All right, and how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You are the general manager. You are the head of business development
Yep.
at Transnet Engineering.
Yep.
Okay, that's a big position. We've spoken to some of our colleagues today, including the head of manufacturing.
Yeah.
So that means you go and then bring customers to all the work that they're manufacturing across the country.
I go and influence the market.
You influence the market?
Yeah.
Okay. Today you were actually the facilitator.
Yep.
In the discussion where we had our CE, we had some of the GMs, and the conversation was about the world of engineering and TE and the amount and the immense amount of wealth and experience and expertise that TE has to show. So can we just reflect on the conversation that was had today? We showcased the potential and the expertise and the different functionalities of TE. And then there were also interactions with stakeholders. So can you just reflect on what we heard today?
Yeah, look, I think the intent of today is just make sure that TE is positioned as a service provider of choice. And we get a lot of reaction, might not have been clear from the onset, but as we converse with the most of our stakeholders after, you can tell that there is confidence in what we're capable of doing on our capacities, and also with the amount of skill from an engineering perspective that's trained from a long time of continuous service offering in maintenance and also in manufacturing of rolling stock and port equipment. Although port equipment might be something new in our midst, we have at least so far transcended into being an OEM in doing trailers for the ports, which in this case right now puts us in a pole position to be able to provide services across states that are mostly on the coastal side, where their ports and container services can be assist us with enough products for them to run their ports activities efficiently. And in addition to that, we have highlighted to our stakeholders that the issues of procurement, or let me say material sourcing, that we used to have in the past might be something in the past, right? With the engagement of partners in certain areas, sole component and service providers, where we want to onboard so that at least we limit the process of going to market, and also engaging in long-term contract views that enables continuity of component supply, and in the same time grows the industry where we find ourselves in. At least right now people are aware of the service offering, the product offering range that we do, and also what our strong points are in terms of the competitive edge, because of the infrastructures that we have across the country, being positioned in a strategic area to support all the corridors in the country, and also in areas where there's a cross-border ports where we can do cross-border trains, and we have started already with run-through trains from Mozambique into South Africa, which give us leverage in terms of improving the efficiencies that CFM in Mozambique does with South Africa. The next part, if this becomes successful, it's a new initiative, but if this becomes successful, we're going to implement it through to the Bay Bridge, and implement it through Mafikeng, and we also can implement through Epinton down when we go into Namibia. If all goes well, the intertrade between our neighboring states will improve tremendously, and the amount of freight that's moving on road will subsequently reduce from road and go to rail, as it's supposed to be.
Okay, thank you so much for that insight. And we heard even when the CE was speaking just about Transnet TE's capabilities. Even we had our GCE speak briefly as well. The message is clear that we're available to do business. We are ready. We are capable. And our business transcends the borders of South Africa. You've mentioned now a number of out of the country projects that we're busy with. And days like this are also important because for a company of our magnitude, we interact and deal with a lot of different stakeholders. And they came today. They honored the invite. They celebrated Transnet. A lot of congratulations, Transnet. Keep going, Transnet. But we did hear some messages as well, some suggestions, some inputs, and areas of improvement. What did you pick up today from the strengths and some of the areas where we can do more?
Yeah, I think what came out clear from our side is that the industry is willing to assist us.
Yes.
We cannot solve this problem on our own. We might be having all these capabilities that we have showcased in today, but the spread of the capability to make sure that we go to what we used to be is sitting with the industry. And the fact that the industry also appreciates the fact we invited them to tell them that we are open for business. It's a belief that the economic part of the economic activities in South Africa will improve because we hold a bigger stake in making sure that the industries come up and all these SMEs, all these engineering companies that do fabrication, specialized work, services of engineering come to start to integrate with us. And the fact that we also now, for the first time in so many years, we are going to collaborate. We are going to work with the private sector. The rail reform offers us that opportunity. I might say not that we've been ignorant in the past, but the system has been working. But when it started failing, we need to start reinventing ourselves to make ourselves relevant and make sure that we assist the country in making sure that the logistic on the rail side is improved because it directly affects our economy. Yeah.
And I like two key words that you've mentioned, reinvention and collaboration.
Yeah.
And in this new financial year, we have launched our new look reinvent for growth strategy. We are looking forward as Transnet, but I'm also interested now as TE as part of this, as this critical engine who literally keep us going as this company. What is TE looking like in the future? What is the vision?
We want to dwell on what we know the most. Maintenance of rolling stock, maintenance of our port equipment. We specialize in those. That's our bread and butter. 80% of our business in TE is on maintenance of rolling stock because we control or we have the leverage of having to do a life cycle management of all the rolling stock that we own in the country. We own over 90,000 wagons, over 2,500 locomotives. Of that, because of the current demand and the current inefficiencies, we're only using a portion of that. We're using just over 60,000 wagons and just over 1,600 locomotives, and we're supposed to be having around 1,800 soon of the locomotives. So what we intend to doing in making sure that the innovation strategy for growth that Transnet requires dwells around us making rolling stock available to move the tonnages that have been set of 180. In principle, if possible, maybe exceed those targets to show the industry that in future Transnet will be able to do the 250 that is planned in the next 2 years. Make sure that we're moving all the freight from the road and also to rail. And one area that probably has been silent is the fact that we're changing road to freight doesn't mean that we're killing the business on the road. The business on the road still has a huge opportunity of contributing in something called the first mile and the last mile. Assisting us in moving commodity into a collection area and taking commodity into the end port of going into ships and also conveyor belts and all sort of things. We're not killing the industry, we're making the industry efficient. Instead of you having a truck that runs from here to Richards Bay, does one load a week, you have a truck that's sitting in Pretoria that loads a wagon, loads a train, it does 10 times more than that in one day. So the turnaround time in terms of the efficiency of your utilization improves. And on our side also, we're moving more than what we're supposed to do. So that invention on its own doesn't only benefit Transnet, it also benefits the logistics on the road. Removing them from the road doesn't mean it's no business, it means another opportunity for them comes through.
I like that so much. I think we've seen over the past year or so that in the discussions and the plans and the rollouts of improving rail efficiency, rail reform, that some sectors of the logistics industry were worried that improving rail means that other sectors are going to collapse. But you've just spoken about it, that actually getting us back on the road, well, on the railways, is a win for all parties involved. That's actually quite an important thing, because the bulk of our conversations today as well has been the importance of collaboration. Instead of competing, we're collaborating. So I like that you've actually touched on that, because it's important that we grow Transnet again, but the fears that some sectors may have that means they'll be left behind are actually not quite accurate.
Yeah. It's a game, if you look at it. It's a game. The utilization part of it goes higher. The operating cost goes lower for road users. On our side, it's a gain from the industry, because the more there's more rolling stock on the rail, and the more industry gets to be participate in providing services to us, because now it means we are onboarding more locomotives and more wagons into our freight rail, and will require more components to maintain our rolling stock.
Okay. And with your role in particular, as the head of strategic business development, you are the one selling all the great work that TE is doing. We heard Tshwanelo, smile from ear to ear about all the work that's happening behind these walls. But you are the one now who is linking it to the potential customers. Yeah. And then can you just talk about that? There's been a shift towards the commercial sustainability and innovation. What specific initiatives is Transnet Engineering leading to drive value creation and modernization? We are facing towards the future, and we don't want to get left behind. We want to improve our bottom line. That's why we're all here. But also what the future holds for us.
Yeah. Look, there's quite a number of initiatives you're doing from an engineering perspective and also from a business perspective. From a business perspective, the rail reform is giving us an opportunity to engage with new train operating companies. We call them TOCs. You will see that with the first opening of slots applications, there's almost 100 applications that Stream was handling.
Yes.
From those 100, it means there's going to be additional rolling stock required by the market, depending on how many are going to be approved to get slots. So we're positioning ourselves to provide rolling stock to those who get to win slots for them to be able to move their commodities. In the same process, we provide them with engineering innovations for rolling stock monitoring systems, where we'll be able to do predictive maintenance for their rolling stock. Instead of now doing a time-based maintenance, we're going to do a condition-based maintenance based on what we get as feedback. We're using IoT, we're using machine interface for us to be able to communicate with our rolling stock. We're starting the process already in testimony to some of our locomotives. We're going to be introducing it also to wagons. You will know that wagons is fully mechanical, locomotives are electromechanical, so it's much easier to do it on locomotives to provide those kind of trends that the world currently applying to make rail logistics more efficient and also making rail logistics available for the client. So the difference that we're going to be applying from what we used to do, like I said, is to change from a time-based maintenance to a predictive condition-based maintenance. It's cost effective.
Okay.
Instead of you planning to, for example, spend 200,000 or 300,000 to do a locomotive repair or planned maintenance over the years, you can at least spend half of that in that space, because the data that comes in tells you exactly what needs to be changed and how long is it still left to be changed. Currently, we're saying an old Toyota, 15,000 you do take the service every 15,000 kilometers, right?
Yes.
But in this case, it's not supposed to be 15,000. It's supposed to what needs to be changed, and then you get the data from there. The data says, okay, you need to change brakes. They're not due, they're due only no longer in 15,000. Now in 21,000, you're gonna get brake changes. You have seen some of the modern cars; those kind of things already happen. So we want to introduce that in the railways. And that is a differentiator between what we've been offering and what we're going to be offering in future as a quick win to the industry for them to be able to have confidence in our maintenance strategies.
So we're not just offering parts and structures, we're offering a service, a full bouquet that will actually help you to monitor your equipment. A full bouquet.
Full bouquet. I mean, in addition to that, and some of the innovations that we're doing, we're developing on our own control system, because the old control system that were implemented on the locomotives are no longer viable to modern requirements. We're developing our own control system that we have an IP on. Already has been implemented in the TAL, and we're going to transfer it into the legacy fleet to be able to communicate thoroughly with the TAL and with everything else, and also from a command center point of view, where the data gets to be collected and shared. If it's owned by a private company, we'll be able to share that data with them, for them to be able to make a recollection of whether the rolling stock needs to be replaced, or they're still confident in them continuing with the design lifespan.
Wow, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of innovation. And it's beautiful to see that all these different minds at Transnet Engineering are coming together to offer this quality service. And back to the panel and the conversation that was being had earlier on. Like I said, there were different voices on the floor. There were potential customers, but then you also had your small business owners, we had people coming in from as far as the Eastern Cape, outside of the country. And as part of this big value chain of different stakeholders that are involved, how are we then including, your black industrialists, SMMEs, emerging innovators, to make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, the best that we can? What are we doing as Transnet Engineering?
Just like any other company, we make our intentions clear using all social media platforms. We're using also our regulated platforms, that portals that the government offers us, and we also use our own. All opportunities that SMEs want, it's available there. We work on the regulatory framework, and we don't want to go to the scenes of the past. The intention right now is to invent ourselves as a caring entity that is inclusive of everybody else, not only the privileged few. So in this case, we encourage all SMEs to follow our websites, to follow our media postings, to make sure that they understand what we're looking for. That's the only time you'll be able to be on the bandwagon, to make sure that you add value into the whole thing that Transnet is initiating. It is not only say it's black industrialists or small businesses, it's efficiencies, right? It's community building, right? How do we change the lives of people around us? If somebody else is sitting somewhere in Leidenberg and there's an opportunity to provide the service to ourselves, there's nothing wrong in walking in our facility and asking, how do I do 1, 2, 3, and 4? I have a capability to do something like that. This processes within Transnet to how to go with unsolicited and solicited bids. We follow all those. It's a regulated process, and that on its own has its own levels of DOAs that has to go through until it gets to be approved. We have seen companies like Sasol, they're doing it now with us, where they're onboarding SMEs instead of them doing the purchasing of rolling stock, but they get funding for SMEs to purchase rolling stock and provide the service to Sasol, whilst we provide the service to them to maintain and rebuild some of the wagons that they have.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested to hear that, to find out how they can get involved in all the amazing work that we're doing. We spoke earlier, and you mentioned that you're actually an engineer by profession. So you know exactly what's happening here. You've been on the other side, and now you're the man in the suit, no longer the man in the hard hat.
Nope.
Do you still step into the plant here and there?
Yeah, I still do. I was joking about it. For the past 17 years that I've been with TE, I started as an engineer manager, only doing wagons, and I did principal engineering for wagons, and then I was a chief engineer for all the products that you see over here. And at some point, I was a GM for engineering. And then now that all this thing has been happening, we're like, okay, you design these things, go sell them. Tell us if it's sellable, because we designed them. So I've been traveling around the continent, the better part of the continent, South America, selling all these wagons. So it's the interest is good, but the only area of difficulty was to differentiate ourselves. We differentiate ourselves from what the East is giving and what the West is giving. So what we have identified a lot of areas is just funding is a real constraint. right? And how do you assist our clients to acquire funding is to be in bed with some of the funding houses that will be able to understand what will be the return on investment or what they put in certain countries. We have initiated some of those things. Some of them passed, some of them didn't pass. But in certain areas where private sector comes in because of the integrity of what we provide and the scale of what we do in South Africa, people got interested. We supplied wagons in a standard gauge environment in Guinea of around 220 wagons for bauxite. It's a heavy haul wagons. We have supplied around 150 wagons in Chile over container wagons to, not really container, but customized container wagons to transport copper cathodes and also containers for sulfuric acid. We have built wagons to Botswana, Mozambique, a whole lot of areas that we have supplied services to. We have also leased and provided solutions in Angola. In the past, we also had locomotives in DRC in Kinshasa and also in Lubumbashi. We also still have locomotives in Cameroon through CamRail, which we were giving services. So we want to reinvent ourselves in the service provision environment for all rolling stock that we have that we've manufactured. Our wagons, our locomotives have shown better performance capacity. I'm going to give you an example. 8 years ago, we manufactured around 250 wagons to CFM through Rio Tinto in Mozambique.
Okay.
The better portion part of the wagons were given to the company in the east, without mentioning names, for fear of being judged and all. The wagons were involved in an accident. Our wagons were picked up and back into rail.
Oh, wow.
But the other wagons had to be scrapped.
Okay.
So the integrity of what we provide in the continent and also in the SADC regions is what we know that is going to be crossing in our railway lines so that they can interface easily with the rolling stock that we use in the country.
Wow. Reginald, you speak with such passion. Someone who understands what he's selling. And you've mentioned that you've been doing this now for 17 years. What keeps you inspired? We have seen Transnet having to go under many different inventions because of different changes we've experienced. And now we are, as we've heard our GC say earlier, that we're in a position of stability with a lot of work to go, but we're stable. What keeps you going as Reginald every day to show up and just sing this TE message to the masses in our country and beyond?
I think besides the passion of the railways, I think the people you work around with, young engineers that are in the midst. I was given an opportunity to train most of them, and I work with the people that I've trained, and we understand each other, and also how we interact with our clients. Our client base and also our stakeholder base is people I've been working with for quite a long time. So we have established that kind of relationship where everybody else can get me. It doesn't matter whether it's a supplier base or it's a customer base. When we want to collaborate and work on the solution, I get to be involved. One thing that drives me is innovation. Doing new things all the time. I'm not really a fan of repetitive manufacturing type of environment. I've been in manufacturing forever, but repetitive manufacturing is really something I'm keen on. I'm keen on innovation and seeing people happy and see people developing a passion of it. Because when somebody loves something, they'll take care of it. That's what drives me.
Can see that. Is that the message that we're taking to Africa Rail?
Yep. Okay. We love what we do. We love the product. We have pride in the product, and we believe in the product because the engineering that goes into the product, we know it from first hand. We manufacture, we design our own and test and use private entities, independent entities to qualify our product. We don't become a raver and a player. No. We use people independently to verify that what we do is in line with global principles. Engineering principles.
Reginald, I'm inspired and I'm not even an engineer. I'll see you in Sandton.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Lentswe. Please do like, subscribe and follow all our channels for more information in the world of Transnet. Thank you.